I'm Thundarr, and welcome to Sportstorm. Today I will be starting a new series called NBA Scouting. Well, I'm gonna scout all the most of the NBA prospects in the upcoming NBA draft. Lighting isn't here because later in the fall he will be scouting the NFL players. So it's just me for this video, and the first player I will be scouting in this video is Ben Simmons, the point forward out of LSU. He stands at 6 foot and 10 inches, along with 240 pounds, and he's only 19 years old, out of Australia. Some other notable measurables from Ben Simmons. He has a 7 foot and a quarter inch wingspan, a 41.5 inch vertical jump. Now that's athleticism right there, if you see any. And he has a 9.5 foot standing reach. So he's an athletic freak. He can do it all as point forward. Here are statistics from last season as a freshman at LSU. He played around 35 minutes per game, scored about 19 points and 12 rebounds, along with 5 assists and 2 steals and 1 block and 3 turnovers. So he had a fairly good season for a rookie. All those stats, there's no point in converting them into per 36 minutes because he's already got 35 minutes per game. He obviously as a forward, he was able to get 5 assists per game, and those 2 steals are very noticeable, but so is the 3 turnovers. We're going to talk about that later in the video. So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to go through the strengths, the weaknesses, and then I'm going to go through what I believe the career stat projections are going to be. And I'm going to go through the good fits in the draft and the bad fits in the draft for the particular player, and then I will give the player an NBA comparison, and finally I will give an overall prediction for how their NBA career is going to go. So let's start off with the strengths. Well, Ben Simmons has a lot of strengths and few weaknesses, but his main strength is inside scoring and finishing. Almost all of his points, in fact, he only shot 3 total three-pointers in all of the season. He went 1 of 3 from three-pointers. So he shot 56% from the field total and 56.1% from two-point range. So obviously he can finish. And also another strength that Ben Simmons does have is passing. Now as a forward, he was able to get 5 assists per game, and that's a fairly great contribution to your team, especially if he can contribute that to take that to the next level in the NBA. Not sure if he's going to play much of a point forward role in the NBA. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to really initiate the offense. I bet he will be able to on some occasions. So I think that assist number will stay at that 5-ish range compared to rising higher, unless he plays in a point forward role. Next, his other strength is rebounding. Now, he averaged 11.9 rebounds per game, which is amazing, especially for a guy that mostly played as the main ball handler for LSU. Out of his team, he had almost 22% of all the total rebounds from LSU. So, that's amazing. I think he's going to transcend, well, not really transcend, he's going to transition his great rebounding to the next level in the NBA, and I think he will also he will continue to dominate the boards in the big leagues. And one final strength for Ben Simmons is his ball handling. That kind of goes with the assist and the fact that he was the main ball handler for LSU last season. That's really why ball handling is another strength for him. Now we move on to the main weaknesses for Ben Simmons. Obviously, this is a big one: outside shooting. He only took 3-pointers and only made 1 of them. So outside shooting is definitely not a strength. He's one of the worst outside shooters in the draft, actually. So really, without question, that's what's his biggest concern. And next is post defense. Now, he did average almost a block per game, but really, he's not that great of a defender of what he can be. He definitely has a potential to develop into one of the best defenders in this class with his attributes and measurables. And finally, turnovers. Now, he only has an assist to turnover ratio of 1.53, and that's actually really low. He he had 5 assists, but still had 3 turnovers, which still leads me to believe that he's not going to play much of a point forward role in the NBA. I think he's gonna still have the ball quite a bit. I don't think he's going to be taking up the court much. And now we move on to the career stat projection. For Ben Simmons, I see him getting around 21 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. It's kind of iffy on where I'm going to put him on the points, but I think the assists and the rebounds are dead on. I think he could get more rebounds. I think the assists, really, I don't think he's going to get average more than 6 in his career. All right, now we move on to the teams that would be good fits and the teams that would be bad fits in this draft. And the teams that I'm putting here are just within the range that this player might go in the draft. So I'm not going to have Ben Simmons say it's a good fit for him to go to the Warriors, because the Warriors are obviously not going to be able to get him because he's going to be off the board by then. So the good fits for him, I'd say the Lakers, if they have a need at small forward. Then we have the Suns. They could use him at either forward position. And the Celtics. They just need a star player other than at point guard. Point guard's really their only untouchable position right now, and Ben Simmons would fit in perfectly in Boston. Now onto the bad fits, and I only have one team for this bad fit, and that is the 76ers, who are most likely going to take him with the first overall selection. So one thing about 76ers is they have so many post scorers and big men. I just don't see how Ben Simmons, unless he's somehow able to develop an outside shot, is really going to help this 76ers team. I mean, he will be a franchise and he'll be a cornerstone for the Philadelphia 76ers. You can build around him, but you're going to have to blow up a lot of pieces on that team if you want him to try to fit in. All right, and now my NBA comparison for Ben Simmons is a Blake Griffin with better ball handling. Now, there's a lot of comparisons between Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons. Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons, they each can rebound. They each have superior athleticism. They each have post scoring. I think Blake Griffin has better mid-range and outside shooting than Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons definitely is a better ball handler. They're both great passers, so I think there's a lot of comparisons between Ben Simmons and Blake Griffin. A lot of people are saying maybe a Lamar Odom or a LeBron James, but I think those guys were much better play initiators and were better shooters, so I think Blake Griffin is the perfect NBA comparison for Ben Simmons. And finally, my prediction for Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons, wherever he goes, he's going to be a franchise player and a multiple-time All-Star, and I think he can even be a potential Hall of Famer depending on the team he goes to. Who knows, maybe if the Sixers do take him and they trade away a bunch of their current players, he could eventually develop into one of the best players in the NBA. That is it for us today at Sportstorm. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.